British Defense Advisor, Lieutenant Colonel Hobson, the Acting Director of Training and Doctrine from the Defense Headquarters, the Commandant of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, the Chief Instructor, the esteemed members of the British Short-Term Training Team here present, staff officers and course coordinators from the Defense Headquarters here present, the Regimental Sergeant Major of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, the officers and men of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School here present, members of the media fraternity, distinguished invited guests, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. Good morning to you all. It is a great pleasure to have you all within our midst this morning. On behalf of the Commandant, the Chief Instructor, and the staffs of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, we extend our appreciation to each and every one of you for being here with us this morning. I once again welcome you all to the Gambia Armed Forces Training School for the closing ceremony of Military Intelligence Course 2025. I am Captain Baiba, the training officer of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, and of course, your master of ceremony for this auspicious closing ceremony this morning. As it is custom, before we commence any proceedings in our gatherings, we always seek the blessings of Allah for a successful event through prayers, to have a successful event at the end of the ceremony. With your kind permission, sir, the closing ceremony this morning will be conducted in the following orders. Following the arrival of the representative of the Chief of Defense Staff, the Commander of the Republican National Guards, and shout Allah's blessing for a successful event. Next shall be the opening remarks by the Acting Commandant of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School.
To the Gambia Armed Forces, the Director of Training and Doctrine at the Defense Headquarters, the Officer commanding the British Army Short-Term Training Team to the Gambia, the Chief Instructor of the Gambia Armed Forces Training Schools, the members of the British Short-Term Training Team, the Regimental Sergeant Major of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, course participants, the media here present, and all protocol respectfully and duly observed. Good morning. It is with great sense of pride and gratitude that I stand before you this morning to make few remarks on the closing ceremony of Military Intelligence course. The course, which commenced on the 13th of January 2025, is a significant milestone, not only for the participants, but for our military as a whole. Intelligence is a central component of command and control process and is a battle-winning factor in modern warfare. The paradigm shift in modern warfare from attritionist to maneuverist has further confirmed the relevance of intelligence in any military operation. Certainly, it is through the meticulous gathering, analysis, and dissemination of information that we can anticipate threats, make informed decisions, and protect our nation. Such a design is at the forefront of the battlefield, informing commanders at all levels to make informed, sound, and timely decisions, thus having the potential to saving lives and changing the outcome of operations under the most favorable conditions. distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as a brilliant commander, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel once said, "It is not that one general is more brilliant or experienced than the other. It is a question of which general has better appreciation of the battle." Therefore, effective intelligence, when given to capable commanders at all levels, provides decisive advantage of tactical, operational, and strategic importance. At this juncture, let me re-emphasize to all the esteemed participants that effective intelligence is critical to all commanders at all levels and determines the outcome of any operations. I would like to thank all the participants for their discipline, dedication, and commitment displayed during the course. I have the strong conviction that meaningful training has taken place, and I challenge you to change the narrative in the Gambia Armed Forces. Remember, the essence of intelligence work lies attention to details, patience, and perseverance. The information you handle can mean the difference between mission success and failure, between peace and conflict. Therefore, you are meticulously urged to approach each task with the seriousness it deserves, knowing that your efforts directly contribute to the security and stability of our nation. Furthermore, I urge you all to take full advantage of the knowledge gained during the period of the training and engage with your peers in a spirit of camaraderie and mutual support. The bonds you formed here will be invaluable to you as you move forward in your careers, facing challenges and triumphs together. On behalf of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, I would like to register our profound gratitude to the United Kingdom through its High Commission in the Gambia, and by extension to the British Defence Advisor to the Gambia Armed Forces for sponsoring this course. To the British Army Short-Term Training Team, we thank you for the knowledge shared. It's been interactive, educative, and informative session. I must acknowledge the GAF High Command's foresight and support in making this training a success. Many thanks to the Director of Training and Doctrine, who is here with us, for his guidance throughout this training. On that note, I thank you all for your kind attention.
British training team that's been out here for the past 2 weeks. For all of us, it's been our first time in the Gambia, and for a couple of us, our first time in Africa as well. And we've been blown away by the hospitality that we've received. What's been particularly important for this course is it's the first of its time, and it's the first partnership that we've had between the British Army's Intelligence Corps and the Gambian Armed Forces. And we hope that the training we have delivered has brought an appetite for future training delivery. The content that we've delivered over the past 2 weeks is a condensed version of a 14-week course which is delivered at Chicksands. Chicksands is the home of the Intelligence Corps and is in Bedfordshire in England. And the 14-week course has been condensed down into just 2 weeks, which really displays the difficulty and the challenges that the participants have faced over the last 2 weeks of training. We've had a wide range of ranks with us, all the way down from private up to lieutenants, briefing us as we would the commanders. And the students have covered content all the way down from basic analytical techniques all the way to full situational integration, which you will see shortly when the briefs are commenced. Before we commence with the briefs, I've got a few thank yous of my own that I'd like to say. The first one to the training team and the training school for having us here and the incredible hospitality that we've received. The second of which to the DA for facilitating this for us, and finally to the training team themselves. So we've got here Sergeant Major Brown, Corporal Purvis, Corporal Kyle and Lance Corporal McKillen, who've all done a brilliant job of delivering training to the participants over the last 2 weeks. Before we commence with the brief, the last thing I'd like to say is continue with the training that you've learned over the past 2 weeks, apply it, add your knowledge, and continue to develop the capability of the Gambian Armed Forces military intelligence. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, for those remarkable remarks, and we thank you for your efforts. All right. With your kind permission, sir, may I call on the course students to come forward and give a product brief.
Factor deals with the opportunities and the threats. However, the internal factor deals with anything that has to do internally within that organization that has to affect them and is under their control. On the other hand, the external factor is the factor that is beyond that organization, in which it affects them, but they have no control over. It's beyond their domain. That is to say, it's not under their responsibility. Sir, as military intelligence, the SWOT analysis helps us to assess our operational capabilities, to identify our vulnerabilities, to anticipate threats, and to be able to exploit our vulnerabilities in order to have an upper hand on our area of operations. And again, it helps commanders to have strategies to form a base in order to have a mission success. So if you don't mind, I will use the SWOT analysis tool to have a brief on a body called GENIM. Sir, for the strength of this body, they have small arms, IDF, IED capabilities, and agile. And their weaknesses are limited arms, finances, etc. Their opportunities are weak governance, march allies, while their threats are local rivals, international intervention, etc. So to have a complete assessment of all these things, sir, this is telling us that the deductive assessment that this body called GENIM, they have a strength whereby they attack in small arms. So what? I'm urging the command, in order to be control this body, we make sure we apply or make sure we have a close surveillance on this body in order not to be able to attack us, or however, to have at least where they got these supplies from their commercial vendors. And again, sir, their opportunities are weak governance. That is to say, they take advantage over the local populate in order to collide with them, to be able to work with them. So what? We appeal to the government to make sure at least those people, those local populace who these people take advantage of, to make sure they are well taken care of in order for not to be able to control them, to use them as their allies. So, our predictive assessments. So, from this whole assessment that we have from the GENIM, that is to say, we are expecting more attacks from GENIM. So what? We are appealing to the command if we can apply countermeasures in order to be able to limit their effects on us. So still, these people have IED capabilities. That is to say, they implant IEDs in order to have damage on both civil, local, and international securities and our infrastructures. So what? We are appealing, sir, if we can have a close monitor on these people in order to be able to control, to make sure we have countermeasures before they launch their attacks, or where they can get these supplies from, the IED supplies from their local vendors. Sir, if you don't mind, sir, do you have any question to ask as far as this board is concerned, sir? Sir? I am Lines Couple Jibril Saho, here to brief you on link analysis. Sir. Link analysis is a critical tool that we use to understand the relationship within complex network and organizational patterns. So, this technique helps us to detect complex communicational networks, and it helps us to know communicational patterns and reveal hidden connections. So, military intelligence link analysis, this helps us to analyze or situational awareness, making decisions, and transforming raw data into notable intelligence. So, this training staff have given us large amount of raw data for an exercise. From that data, we were able to produce link analysis chart, which is displayed on the board here, sir, for the purpose of exercise. So, link analysis chart helps us to identify aerial commander, who is here, who has a relationship with local commander in Brikama, who is right here on the board, sir. This local commander have number of fighters and number of vehicles that they use to carry out the operation. So, this helps us to identify two key locations that are here and here on the chart. So, knowing all this will help us to plan better against enemies and insurgents network. Sir, this brought to the end of my briefing. Any question, sir, pertaining to the link analysis chart, sir?
Time analysis. Sir, time analysis or pattern analysis. This analysis is a technique used, is a pattern used to identify future activities of any organization or a terror or anything that has to be a threat within an AOR. Sir, this is an analysis that helps the intel to identify future activities of an organization or an enemy to help the commander into knowing his threats within his AOR. Sir?
Good morning, sir. My name is Kopul Jame Sunkar. I'm going to brief you today on threat analysis. So, threat analysis is a tool we use to understand the enemy. In doing so, we use an acronym called CAVARD, C-O-A-R-D. The first letter of the acronym C represents capability. Capability is where we analyze the strength, the enemy size, the strength, and ability to establish threat that could pose to the friendly force. Coming to the second letter of the acronym C is organization. Sorry, before we go to the second letter, the first letter of the acronym C, that's capability. The GNIMs are capable of conducting a complex attack and using the drone and indirect fire. Coming to the second letter of the acronym C, O, that is organizations. Organizations, O, that's organizations. Organization is a structure or laydown of the friendly force, the enemy, so that the friendly force commander can identify where to exploit. Organization, the GNIMS is a coalition of 4 militant groups based in the Sahel region of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. And this their group, the Al-Qaeda Sub-Sahara branches, Al-Asradin, Al-Muridin, and the Mega Liberation Front, MLF. The leader is Ayad Al-Adin is the leader of the groups since the establishment of the jihadists in May 2017. Ahmad Kufu is also a founding member of the JNIM, and is also he controlled a large divisional group. Coming to the third letter of the acronym, that's W, represents or meaning the weapon. It is where we analyze the enemy weapons and equipment in their positions so that the friendly force commander can identify where or prepare for combat. That's here, weapons. The GNIMs are equipped with AK-47 patterns, IED, vehicle airborne IEDs, mortar, and RPG. Coming to the fourth letter of the acronym, that's arithmetic TTC. It's where we identify how and where the enemy might conduct an operational in an unconventional way, so that we can tell the friendly force commander to prepare for a battlefield. And that's their mode of operations: conducting suicide road bombing, kidnapping the Western militants or foreign bodies, and conducting attack on international military as well as the local populations. Coming to the fourth letter of the acronym, that's R, represents reinforcements. This tells the friendly force commander how and where the enemy could use to reinforce that strength. GNIM is capable of recruiting the local population, likewise from the tourist local groups, the Al-Qaeda branch of sub-Sahara regions. This is where they normally reinforce their strength. Anytime they need reinforcement, they always use the local bodies, the tourists, and the Al-Qaeda sub-branch groups. The last letter of the acronym, that's D, represents us the doctrine. Doctrine tells or doctrine informs the friendly force commandant how and where the enemy doctrine might impact the operations or the battlefield. As we know, JNIMs is a jihadist group. They are not conventionals. Their mode of operation or mode of they use guerrilla warfare, hit and run. Hit and run using the IEDs and kidnapping. Sir?
Human physical information environment within our area of intelligence responsibility, our area of intelligence interest. Sir, the importance of terrain analysis is to help the command to understand whether a particular ground is maneuverable, and also helps the command to understand the vital grounds and key terrain within a particular area. Sir, how we conduct this terrain analysis? Taking you through the map, sir. On the map, we have identified some key components on the map, such as the water bodies, which is being represented by these blue lines here, and also the main roads, which have been represented by the thick lines, and also highly populated areas, which have been identified, represented by these black shaded area, black shaded portions. Also, the forest, which is being represented by the green shaded areas. So also we have identified some bridges within the area, which is being identified by this sign. So to conduct this terrain analysis, we use a mnemonic called OKOKA. OKOKA. That's the mnemonic we use when we are conducting this terrain analysis. On the OKOKA, the first O stands for observation and field of fire. So taking you back to the map on the observation and field of fire, as we can see the road linking from Sanyang to Brikama, and the road linking from Sifo to Brikama, where they intersect. We have spotted a mosque where they intersect. So the tower of that mosque can be used as a good observation point and a good field of fire, as the ground is a neutral ground for both the enemy forces and the friendly forces. Either of the forces get hold of that tower will have good observation point and good field of fire against the other. So taking you back to the Okoka, the next letter is C, which means cover and concealment. So the presence of forest and savanna areas within the area can serve as a good cover and concealment for both the enemy and the friendly forces, as the ground is neutral. So next on the Okoga is O, which is talking about obstacles. We have seen the presence of water bodies within the general area, which can serve as obstacle. The reason being it's going to deter both the movement of the enemy forces or the friendly forces. So next on the Okoga is K, which is talking about the key terrains. Key terrains are vital terrains where either the enemy forces or the friendly forces get control over the terrain, will have advantage over the other. Yes, example of the key terrains are the main roads. The main roads are the example of the key terrain. The next on the Okoga, sir, is avenue of approach. Avenue of approach, sir, is talking about the corridor that either the friendly forces or the enemy forces can use in order to move his troops or platoons from one place to another. Sir, the example of avenue of approach is the main roads. The reason being these main roads can be used as supply routes and also reinforcement routes. Sir, end of my briefing. Permission to carry on. Sir.
Briefing or situational template. Sir. Sir, as you can see, I would like to take you to the map to show you on a situational overlay to show you where our own troops and enemy position themselves on the map, sir. As you can see, this is own forces position themselves along the Sanyang, Birkama, MS route. That's the enemy forces. Enemy company are operating along Fulakunda, Sifo, MS route. And they have a fighting company minors, their training school, IEDs, landmines, and motor group. Sir, with this, we were able to conduct an analysis about enemy's most likely course of action, which I would like to show you on the board, sir. Enemy most likely course of action, mission, is to disrupt B company. End state, to establish a foothold in Birkama. And underneath is the map showing how the enemy disposes themselves in the general area with a platoon, coy miners, and pocket of enemy operating in the general area, and they have a capability of mortar. Scheme of maneuver. The first one is shaping. At H-24 and H-2, enemy will be conducting IEDs and recce. H-hour, enemy step off for the offensive to decoy. Decisive, IDF small arm attack on decoy at H-1, withdrawal to their safe side. Sustainment, H-2, they will be withdrawing, regrouping at the training center, and the same H-2 conducting media propaganda by taking ownership of the attack at decoy. However, sir, for them to achieve this, we identify they will be using tactical functions. Tactical functions, C2, local commander, that is responsible of the attack. Firepower, they are capable of mortars as their firepower. Protection, they will be using human shield during withdrawal. Maneuver, they have 4x4 off-road motor vehicles. Intel, they collect their intel from the IDPS. Sustainment, enemy headquarters, training school. Indicators, recce, near decoy, movement towards decoy. HPTs and HVTs, these are high-value targets that the commander will like to concentrate on. That is their training school, local commander, HVT, mortar, and HQ, sir. With this, we identify key areas which the friendly forces commander would like to concentrate and have effect on the enemy, which is the NAI, named areas of interest. That is named area interest 1, their mortar group, named areas interest 2, the training school for their possible reinforcement during the offensive, and their main command, where their commander will be to coordinate the attack on decoy. Sir, this product shows all what we have learned during our course of training, and this helped the commander in effective decision-making and also be able to have an effective over the enemy for future operations, sir.
We shall now witness the presentations of certificates to the deserving students, course participants. As I call your name, you march forward and establish a line here.
And I have the great privilege to be His Majesty's UK Defence Advisor to the Gambia. On behalf of Her Excellency, Mrs. Harriet King, your High Commissioner, she presents her compliments and her regrets that she couldn't be with you or with us here this morning. So I give these remarks on her behalf as well as myself. Firstly, thank you ever so much for those briefs. That was really extraordinarily impressive. And to consider that all that has come together in just 2 weeks' worth of training, I think says testament to the quality of the members of the GAF military intelligence community. So once again, I applaud you very heartily. As has already been said, it is the aim of every modern manoeuvrist military to be intelligence-led. And that is something that the UK military shares with its brothers and sisters here in the Gambian Armed Forces. However, there is a rather well-worn phrase that says, when the battle is won, that is the victory for the G3, and when the battle is lost, that is the fault of the G2. But I think you've shown here that should the GAF be part of any battle, that it will be won thanks to your great G2 intelligence system. Now, intelligence on the modern battlefield is a complex and never-ending activity. It is a true art of war. However, it is underpinned by some timeless principles and some timeless analytical tools. As I sat there, I was reminded of my own time doing intelligence training when I heard of COCA and HPTs, HVTs, key terrain. However, I was also introduced to some new analytical techniques for temporal analysis I thought was very interesting, and I particularly enjoyed the acronym COWARD, which I thought was a very good way to describe the enemy. The other thing that I thought was really struck by today during your presentations was how at one point we were talking about sort of JNIM and that counter-VEO, very asymmetric threat that the Brigadier talked about. And then finally at the end, it felt a bit more like a conventional threat brief. But I was brought to mind the very sad events of Bamako towards the end of last year, where you'll remember members of JNIM mounted what looked like a very conventional attack on the police training school on the outskirts of Bamako, near to the airport, which just goes to show that the enemy at any one point can change from asymmetric, planting IEDs, to a rather more conventional full frontal attack on a well-guarded infrastructure. So we must at all times be able to be agile and flexible to use these analytical tools that you've been taught and so clearly gotten a good grasp of to both face off against an asymmetric but also rather more conventional threat. So again, I commend you in being able to hold both of those things in your brains at the same time. Not always easy. And then the last thing I really wanted to point out, and one of the things that I was so keen to bring some military intelligence training to the Gambian Armed Forces, is the vital role that the junior soldiers and the junior NCOs and senior NCOs play in this. From the British point of view, us officers, we just waft in and out. We come in, we kind of help maybe do a little bit of a planning, and we go away again. The people who really own it, the people who are the deep subject matter experts, are the junior NCOs, the privates, the sergeants, the staff sergeants, the warrant officers who do this for their entire career. And today really brought that to the fore. We were briefed by sergeants, lance corporals, corporals, and privates, and indeed a young private was given the award for Best Student. So I just want you to take that, really take that forward and never underestimate the role of the most junior person in the room to sometimes have the brightest idea, to sometimes see it from a different perspective, but then allow the experience and the seniority to take those bright ideas as well and mould them in. So again, I really applaud the foresight and the forethinking of the Gambian Armed Forces High Command to understand that military intelligence is in the hands of the junior people in the room, who of course is the future of all of our institutions. So once again, I want to say a massive well done to you all. You've done yourselves, the commanders, everyone proud. A huge thanks to the training team for coming over, and thanks to you for your dedication coming through. And thanks, Brigadier, the representative of CDS, for again, for having the foresight to allow this to happen. Well done, and thank you all.
The members of the press, distinguished invited guests, good morning to you all. I am Brigadier General Yaya Drame, Commander of the Republican National Guard. I have been delegated by the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General O.M. Cham, to grace this ceremony on his behalf, who due to work exigencies is unavoidably absent. I want to begin by expressing my sincere congratulations to all course participants on successfully completing this course. Training and capacity building are high on the agenda of the Chief of Defense Staff in transforming the Gambia Armed Forces into a more competent and vibrant force that would effectively carry out its constitutional mandate of maintaining national sovereignty and territorial integrity, so that it could contribute to socio-economic development of this country. In essence, training and capacity building are the cornerstones of a capable and effective military institution. It is against this backdrop that the Chief of Defense Staff approved this course. And first of all, with military intelligence course of this magnitude, it's crucial in providing military leaders with the crucial information that they need to make decisions regarding strategy, operations, and tactics. This training is will capacitate our personnel, particularly with the requisite knowledge in understanding the process of intelligence gathering, analysis, and dissemination. This training will undoubtedly boost Gambia Armed Forces' ability to identify and produce vibrant, intelligent operatives who could enhance the intelligence profile of the Gambia Armed Forces. This would avail commanders at all levels the timely and accurate intelligence necessary to identify threats and vulnerabilities in order to gain a decisive advantage in any theater of operation. It will also enhance the knowledge of our personnel in areas of intelligence preparation on the battlefield, which you've done, decision matrix, which you've also done somehow, on decision support overlays, on human intelligence. All this is to prepare you against the enemy. We've learned all the tactics of war, but the more you use the intelligence, much more, it will enhance your capability in the war front. And as general, it's not about the general, it's about the fact that he uses his intelligence team very well and know where the enemy is. Reconnaissance, providing intelligence. This is part of what is called an estimate process. It could be done at tactical level, operational level, even at strategic level. But the truth is, if you have an information about the enemy, if you process it well, it becomes an intelligence. And when you use it well, you'll be able to gain the upper hand against the enemy. So the estimate process, somehow you've dealt with some facts of SWOT analysis, the link analysis, threat analysis, All of this is to enhance your intelligence on understanding what you should do next against the enemy. For you to do this personally, it took me months to train this course. But I'm very impressed that the course has been handled here within just 2 weeks, and you really know the basis of what to do. So this opens up a whole series of facts that there's a lot of books out there that you need to go and find out and read more. It almost opens a whole door in which there's a floodgate of books that you need to go and find out more about the intelligence estimate. As time goes on, you will get more from your instructors. I best that would just upgrade your understanding of this intelligence. As course participants that are opportune to benefit from this important training, you are urged to effectively utilize the knowledge gained so as to enhance the standard of intelligence gathering, analysis, and dissemination within the Gambia Armed Forces. I'm optimistic that you'll always be willing and open to share your knowledge and expertise gained today with your other colleagues who are not privileged to come here. So this knowledge sharing will raise the standards by helping others from your units to understand the fundamental intelligence principles. We could encourage colleagues to seek information that can improve their understanding of the operational environment. Every time you're operating, you must understand that environment. The enemy is doing the same. But the more you do it better than them, you will actually gain upper advantage, an advantage over them. So finally, on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, I would express his deepest appreciation to the team of instructors from UK, the British Army Short-Term Training Team, for your valuable contribution in imparting knowledge to our soldiers and ratings. By the same token, I would like you to extend also our profound thanks to the Armed Forces and Government of the United Kingdom through the British Embassy and through you, that you have been consistent and reliable partners. On this note, I would want to say, please, can we rise so that we clap for them? Thank you, gentlemen. On behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, as I said, on this note, I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you very much.